Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So, I'm here today to talk to you about American Wedding. So, I think this one might have been the first American Pie series that I saw. And then I started going back. Because I remember when I was watching this, a lot of people was all like, Stifler's acting differently. And then they started talking about Finch and Stifler's mom. I'm just like, what the world are they talking about? So yeah, this was the first one I saw. And then I started going backwards. I like this movie, but I don't think it's as great as like the first two. This was kind of when the movie franchise started going like downhill, kind of, because they started relying more on sex humor as opposed to sexual situations just being like funny. So they relied more on the raunchy grittiness of like sex humor, but not like the funny haha of sex humor. You know what I'm saying? And it just started going like in that direction, especially with the sequels in the form of spin-off movies, direct to DVD and streaming. But however, I do feel like the fourth movie, American Reunion, is a whole lot better in terms of story and like characterization than this movie, because the gang comes back. In this movie, a lot of people are absent. A lot of people. Um, One of the first cases, it's still written by Adam Hurst, but it's directed by somebody completely different. And you can tell the tone of the direction is completely off. Why Adam didn't come back, or the other dude didn't come back to direct it, I have no idea. But you can just tell things feel like different. And so, like, one of the main people that's missing is Oz. Oz is completely missing in this entire movie. In fact, he's not even mentioned. And there's probably some shade to it because the actor decided not to come. Reportedly, and this is back in the day, reportedly, he didn't want to come for this movie because he thought it wouldn't make that much money. And he did another movie. I forgot which one it was. It was either that rollerball type movie or it was the one with Mia Jovovich, Ultraviolet. It was something. It was one of those movies. I can't remember. It was some movie he was in that he thought was going to be better than that, but it turned out flopping. And this one turned out to be better than the one that he was in. So it was a big regret on his reveal. And they actually shaded him in the commentary in the second movie on the DVD. They were like, "Who's that guy? I don't recognize that guy." And stuff. And then they start because he literally ditched them. And so since Oz wasn't in the movie, there was no point for Heather being in the movie because Heather doesn't really interact with the guys or even any of the guys like girlfriends or former girlfriends or any. Actually, let's put it like this: the guys only interact with the guys, and all of the female love interests, they don't interact with nobody but their love interests and stuff. So like, because of that, Heather was sadly written out of the movie, which totally sucks. I liked Heather, and I liked the actress and stuff. And so, like, because Kevin has nothing to do in this movie. He's in the movie, but he literally serves absolutely no purpose. There is no story arc with him. There is nothing. He's literally just like inserted into the movie. And like you could literally write him out and it would not matter. And so but even though he's in this movie, Vicky is not, because him and Vicky are still broken up. But he says in this movie he has a girlfriend. And so, but he never mentions who she is or anything like that. So we wouldn't find out about that until like the reunion movie about 10 years later. And so because Vicky is not in this movie, there's no point for Jessica being in this movie. And so, like, Michelle, she is in this movie because she gets married to Jim in this movie. But because she's getting married to Jim, there's no point for Nadia being in this movie. And so it's like they just jump from their first year of college in the second movie years later to after they about to graduate after they graduate from college and now they're getting married. So all that time, like we could have saw them grow and build their relationship just completely kaput. And so that irked a lot of fans. We wanted to see the relationship because the thing about Jim and Michelle is that, they didn't interact that much in the first movie. She was just kind of like the person who kept looking at him all weird and stuff, like she had a problem with him. And then they slept together and then she left him at the end of that movie, only for the second movie for them to reunite and just to like hang out and everything. And she's teaching him about sex, but they weren't like a couple. And it wasn't until the end of that movie they decided to be a couple. And so it's like 3 years later, it's like none of that mattered because they just straight up got married, and we didn't get to see none of their character development or growth and stuff. And so like, and Michelle, she acts a bit differently in this. She's more mature, but she's still her kinky little self. But she's way more mature, and we're finally finding out things about her. She's no longer that nerdy person from band camp who's always talking about, oh, this one time at band camp, like all that is gone. It's just like they're flooding us with ton of maturity and character development that we did not get to see on screen. So that was just kind of weird. But when I came in watching this movie, I had no idea because it was the first one I ever saw. And so, like, Finch, he's more mature and everything. Jim is more mature. Stifler, on the other hand, is the weirdest case of them all. So when people kept saying in the theater, why is Stifler acting so weird? Stifler literally acts like he's mentally inept in this movie. Like, he acts like he's like Beavis and Butthead 24/7. The actor said he really wanted to go out with a bang, but he kind of overdid it in my opinion. And so like it was just he acted like a young teenage version of himself before he was even like a teenager in the first movie. Because like he was more mature in the first movie, slightly, just slightly. But then he was a little more erratic in the second one. But then he was just like full on nuts in like the third and stuff. And a lot of the more humorous stuff interacted with his character. So he was like a main focus of like the third movie because of the stuff that he did in the second. And people started to realize how funny he was, so they added more scenes with him. And so like it was just strange to see his character de-evolve instead of evolve and stuff. And so like I'm trying to think of any other main characters from the first movie that didn't show up. No, I think that's it. But yeah, it just felt strange. You think if he would have got married, he would have invited his friends. Now they could have added the female characters from the other movies to say, oh, they're Michelle's friends, because we don't know who Michelle's friends are, because she never interacts with nobody and stuff. And so like that was quite like a shame. And because then, and like all of a sudden in the fourth movie, her best friend from band camp shows up, but we've never heard of this character. And they could have brought in the Christine Milian character because both her and the new girl from the fourth movie have a very similar look. They're like, cause Christine Milian, I think she's black and Hispanic. The new girl is Hispanic and something else. She kind of looks black, but they had that same look and tone. So, but Christine Milian, of course, is not like a real actress. She's like a singer who keeps trying to act. I haven't seen her act in anything lately, but the stuff I did see her in, I wasn't thrilled. Maybe she's better now. Hey, who knows? You know what I'm saying? This was back in the early 2000s I started seeing her act. I like her singing a whole lot more. I don't know what the world she's doing now. Um, God, I hope she's not one of those tragic cases of like I think somebody said like she hooking up with a couple like dudes and like rapper dudes and had a kid and some drama here and there. I'm like, oh Lord have mercy. I hope not. But anyway, so of course there is plenty of raunchy sex humor in this stuff. Right? Start from the beginning, like always. But it's not funny, ha ha he he. It's just whoa. You know what I'm saying? And kind of gross at times. And so like Jim, he's at the restaurant with Michelle. He hasn't even proposed to her yet. This is the proposement. He proposes to her, but he lost the ring. His dad has it. He's on the way. Michelle decides she's gonna get a little kinky and get him some underneath the table. So of course his dad comes in and Michelle's underneath the table. You see her feet from underneath the table. It's a cute little pose. And she has no idea he's about to propose. And the dad kind of spoils it and everything. So she's like, oh my God. And so she comes up from underneath the table and he's all like, dear, why are you underneath the table? Oh. And then, of course, something happens where the table sheet comes up, or Jim just stands up for some reason. I forget why. And he has a huge boner sticking up from like his clothes. And because like the dad made like a scene about why are you underneath the table and all this other stuff. And American Pie. And so like they're having like the I guess the engagement party or something like that. And so everybody's invited and the myth dudes are like, dude, this party sucks. Like where's like the alcohol and all that stuff. He's like, it's an engagement party, not like a party and stuff. He's like, that's okay, because we're gonna do something for him. So like the myth dudes finally get something more to say. I have to say, still to this day, there is no like real diversity in this movie. It's still a strictly white Jewish cast with nobody else. Like John Cho is like the only like other person of color, but he barely has anything to do. And once again, there are no black people, no Hispanic people, like no nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so like everybody's been invited to the party except for Stifler. They don't want nothing to do with him. But here comes Stifler on the bus because now I guess he's dropped out of college or whatever. And he's like an assistant coach at his old high school. And so he comes in on the bus and he's acting goofy, silly, and crazy. Like it's to the point where he overdid that, you know. But he's a really good actor. I don't know why he like some people just and it's kind of like how you know how you like you have the last piece of like a food product and you're gonna make it and you know like I have to make this really special, but you over season it. It's kind of like that. So there's a scene where he's messing around with the cake. Jim comes in. Cake falls on Stifler's crotch. The dogs are licking it up, and so there's a dog licking his crotch and another dog humping him as Jim is trying to like get the okay. One dog is licking Stifler's crotch. Jim is trying to pull the dog off him. It looks like Jim is humping the dog. Then there's a dog humping Jim, and it's American Pie. That's all I can say. And everybody sees that. And so like he tells like so Stefan had no idea the dude was getting married, but now he finds out and he's like, oh, I'm gonna plan like your bachelor party and like all this and stuff. We're gonna have strippers and all this other stuff. So he does not want Stifler there. He does not like Stifler. He doesn't even consider Stifler as a friend. None of them do. And so like so they're worried he's gonna ruin that. So in comes Michelle's sister Cadence. And she's played by January Jones. And I remember when I first saw January Jones, my first time ever seeing her in a movie, all I could think of was, why is this woman acting so stiff? Then I saw her in the X-Men First Class. I'm like, oh, that's just how she acts. This woman has been criticized for her acting so much and she still gets roles. I don't understand it. There is a rumor how she gets roles, but I'm not even gonna go there. So anyway, um, from what I hear about her, she's the type of person who is still a woman's man. That's just an alleged rumor. I have no idea, but you know what I'm saying? So anyways, the whole movie premise is just making Michelle happy and making sure this wedding um goes good, you know what I'm saying? And so of course the shenanigans happen because everything they need stuff starts backfiring and everything. There's a certain dress she wants, there are certain flowers she wants. The dressmaker is not in town, And so she thinks, oh, this is my special day. This is my wedding day. I want everything to be perfect. So it's like that. You know what I'm saying? So Jim is doing everything he can to bend over backwards to make her happy. Like he loves her to death. And that is great. And so this whole movie just focused on Jim and her. But there's a plot with Stifler and Finch. See, they are smitten by Cadence. And they both want her. So they fight for her affection. Thing is, Cadence is an oddball of a character. She's this very proper, prim girl who is like very aristocratic and everything and very intelligent. So Finch is all like, well, I got this in the bag. You know, these are like my people, you know what I'm saying? But then we find out she has a raunchy side to her. And so she's kind of like a mixed bag. So Finch overhears one part and he's all like, well, I can be like the raunchy dude. So he's pretending to be like Stifler and all raunchy and crazy and stuff. And Stifler's all like, well, I'm going to pretend to be like Finch. So he's trying to be like eloquent and smart. And so it makes some really good, like humorous stuff. And so, like, at some point, Jim goes to Stifler when he's teaching football, and he tells him, look, dude, you are not invited to this wedding whatsoever. Stifler gets pissed, and he tells him, look, dude, you wouldn't even be getting married if it wasn't for me. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, I have been watching over your sex life since high school. And Jim doesn't believe that. So Stifler lays down the law. He tells him straight up, like, the first boobs you ever saw was because of my idea with the whole Nadia webcam thing. And then he's all like, the first girl who ever like gave you some was at my party and everything. That was Michelle. And then uh I forget what else, something else. And so like that of course opened the Pandora's box. And type thing, and where one thing led to another, where he met Michelle at band camp to get some pointers, and then boom, you know what I'm saying? He's now engaged. So he really does owe Stifler. So he tells Stifler, like, fine, you can come, but you gotta be on your best behavior. And so like at some point the guys they end up in like a gay bar because they're trying to find like the wedding dress designer person who they think is a girl, but somehow Stifler ended up in a gay bar club and he didn't know it was that until he finds out. So then he's gonna leave, but then they find the dressmaker. It's actually a dude who has the name Leslie. So they asking him, you know, can you make the dress for my fiance? She'll really like it. But of course, Stifler's being a butthead, so he insults the dude. This causes him to like, I ain't making no dress for you because your friend is rude. So in order to, so then Stifler gets into an argument with a gay guy. He's all like, look, dude, just because like your name is Stifler, you are not God's gift to everybody, and no man wants you. And he's all, and Stifler's like, what? Everybody wants some of the stuff, my stuff. He don't care what gender they are. So they have a dance off. It is hilarious. It's one of the highlights of the movies. And so because of the dance, he decided he's gonna make the dress and stuff. And so like then there comes like the flowers and stuff, and there's so much craziness going on. Stifler eats dog poop. Um, what else happens? Jim decided, you know how Jim always has that one moment in each movie where he does something outrageous, and the first one is still by far the craziest thing ever. Where they cannot top that, so they try to top it in the second one with him jacking it and super gluing himself to himself. And so this one they decided. Somebody's all like, dude, why are you getting married for it? Like, because Stifler literally tells him, you only been with one woman. One woman. How do you know she is the one? And he's all like, you're going to have to, like, shave your balls for her and all this other stuff. And he's just kind of like, wait, do guys do that when they get married? So he decides to do that. And he shaves them. And then he throws them out the window. It goes and lands on the wedding cake. Oh, so he has his moment. Um, Oh, something else outrageous. Oh, they didn't have the bachelor party, which was kind of not all that fun. It was just like, I don't know, it was this film weird and stuff. It just didn't seem cool. There's an extended scene, which is even weirder and stuff. But it does make for a funny moment because Jim's parents-in-law coming in and they got a bunch of strippers there and the gay dude from the bar is there with his butt cheeks out and It's hilarious and stuff. And so, like, I don't know. It's just like this movie, it was funny. Don't get me wrong. It was funny, but it relied too much on raunchy humor and stuff, and not a like focused story. Like I said before, Kevin has no story in this. He's just there, and so like then the night before the wedding, Stifler screws up because like he's going to make out the cadence in like the flower area, and then he turns up like the heater thing and cooks all the flowers. So Michelle's like, "Oh, my wedding is ruined all because of a bunch of flowers." So Stifler comes in a pinch. Like Stifler, even though he screws up, he is literally the unsung hero of this movie. He was able to get her dress made for her. He got all his football players and made them like remake all the flowers like overnight. And he like drove to find the flower maker and stuff and made her help them and stuff. Like even though he screwed up, he helped in a big way. And then he helped with Jim's grandmother. See, Allison Hannigan, I think she is Jewish in real life, but her character is not. And so when Jim's grandmother saw that she's not Jewish, she will not give them their blessing, her blessing. So no wedding for them. So Stifler has to like help out with that. And how does he do it? By banging her. But he doesn't know it's her at first. He thinks it's Cadence. Then he finds out it's Stifler's grandmother. Not Stifler. He finds out it's Jim's grandmother. So with a big smile on her face, they now have her blessing. They get married and everything. And of course, it's topped off with some good old fashioned Stifler's mom and Finch. Like it always is. Because that's how it should be. Except for the fourth movie. I probably won't. I won't review the fourth movie for like a Valentine's special type thing. I'll do that sometime later on this year. Because it is a good movie and it should be talked about. But yeah, this movie was good. It just wasn't as good as the others, and the story wasn't strong enough. Like it only really focused again like on two people, and it's just like, it needed more, and it needed the older characters from the original movies and stuff. That's why I was glad about Reunion. It brought everybody back. Now, wasn't that romantic or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about? Okay, well. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and bye.